Hi lovelies, this is Kelly from Crafty Kellys at www.craftykelly.co.uk. I've got my cuppa ready and I'm going to do a little bit of crafting. For a while now I've wanted to create almost like a reference book, guide, journal to card making for me. So if there are particular stamps that I like to use or particular layout that I want to play with, I want to have like a journal that I can go back and kind of get inspiration from things that I've enjoyed working with. So I'm going to call this my card journal inspiration book. That's what we're going to call it, I think. And I've got a few things in front of me, some bits. So just before Christmas, I had a bit of money, so I indulged in purchasing a few bits from Delusions because I am a bit of a fan. And some other bits and bobs, and I've got some stuff that's in my stash which I absolutely love, from like Stampin' Up and Tim Holtz and Stamps by Me. So this isn't going to be strictly one brand. This is going to be brands that I really like working with, just to create something that I like. And I hope that you can join me on this fun adventure of card journaling. A little bit different, I think. So what I'll do is I'll show you some of the bits that I've got, and I'm going to have a slurp of my tea before it gets cold. And so I've got some of the Delusions little books, journaling books, because I wanted to give them a go. But for this series, I'm going to be using the plain one. So you can see it has a plain pages on the packaging, so that's what tells you. But these are a nice size book. I think they're just over 4 inches by, so 4.5 inches by 8. So it's not my kind of standard card making size, but it gives me the opportunity to stamp in there, to just to kind of have a play and actually have something to look back over. And this is kind of something for me, you know, something that I want to do. It's not for a particular company. It's not for anybody in particular other than me. And for me to share a way that I want to try to kind of encapsulate my craftiness, if that makes sense. Anyway, I've also grabbed some stencils. So most of these bits I got from Art for the Heart. Art for the Heart. And where else? There was another site. I'm going to put a blog post together with all of the details of what I've used, this, that and the other. I also got hold of Lou Collins, one of her stamp sets with the fabulous a typewriter, which I was lucky enough to get a vintage typewriter like this for Christmas. And then it has a matching die. And also this stamp set that she did with this collection, which I really like the layering thing. I think it was cool. Other bits don't really matter, just some pockets to keep some bits in, and a cover to, once I've created my books, I can keep them all snug tucked away in these. Now this is an experiment for me, so I might find after I finish this book that I want a bigger size book, because I have worked before doing this similar style thing, usually when I'm creating in another size book, but I don't have it to hand. It's not there, doesn't matter. So you know, work with what you've got, and you might decide to do something like this too. And obviously I'd love to hear from you, see your pictures and all of that stuff. So, you know, just go to the Facebooks and all of that, and you'll find me, Crafty Kelly and Jordan, and you share your stuff with me, because I'd love to see it. So that's the plan. So now you know what we're doing. Hopefully you can stay with me to make some beautiful things. Now I'm going to get out that book. So I'm going to move a few bits all out of the way. Take the packaging off, and let's start working. Now, I've had an idea in mind for a couple of days now that I've been wanting to do, because I see a lot of stamps from All and Create, and I love their stuff. Fabulous stamps, really, really lovely. but I don't have any at the moment. I do say at the moment. I don't have any at the moment. So I really like some of the styles they do, and I want to see if I can recreate. If I can recreate with what I've got in my stash to kind of not copy, but a similar kind of theme, because, well, you know, if you like something, don't you? So what else do I need from here? I'm going to keep hold of these stencils, or let's make the pile there and there. Bring in some cardstock, and let's grab my files and let's find the right one. So I have the Tim Holtz little folders just to keep my Tim Holtz stamps in, for no other reason than I think they look pretty and they look nice on the wall, on your shelves. Not that mine are very neat and tidy at the moment, but I'm working on it. I'm having a little bit of a craft clear out, and oh, there's another one in here that I wanted, because every now and again, if I haven't used something for a while, it's time to move it on to someone else who may get the use out of it that I haven't. So I've just got myself out a few stamps. Oh yeah, there's also one from Rare Earth that I'm going to use, and it's only because it's a script stamp. It's one, do you know what, it's one of my favourites. I love a script. Where is it? I popped it here. Yeah, I love a script stamp, although actually these stamps from Tony would work really well as well. So right, I'm going to flip you over so you can start to see what I'm doing, because I'm doing a lot of talking and not a lot of doing. So let's flick you round. So I've had to re-record the sound as I had a few problems when flipping the camera over. So I'm just moving a few of my bits over to one side that I don't need, but I'm going to start working with the butterfly stamps. I want to create kind of like script and circles and butterflies. So we'll start doing that. I'm just going to move the rest of the bits I don't need out the way for the moment, and I'm just going to use some stamping card to create this first part. I'm bringing in my Stamparatus. This is just one of the stamping tools that I have at the moment, only because my stamping tool from Tony and Stamps by Me was packed away. This is a really versatile stamping tool. It actually has a hinge lid, so you can take it out and pop it back in, which is really useful for kind of gradient stamping. And I do like to use it. It's a good one. So we shall continue, and I've also got a load and fold next to me because I couldn't find my sponge mat at the time of filming this. I'm a bit of a nightmare sometimes. I lose stuff. So I'm just going to hold my cardstock into place with some magnets, not some stamps. I'm choosing 2 of the butterflies for this. I think with this particular stamp set from Tim Holtz, it's just got a really lovely choice of butterflies you can use. Yeah, so they're a red rubber stamp, so they will fit into this stamping tool, which not all red rubber stamps do. So I'm just closing the lid to pick them up, and I'm just going to use some permanent black ink to ink them up and stamp them on. I'm going a bit crazy with the black ink, just to make sure I get it nice and well covered, because we would like it done nicely first time. But if it doesn't matter, because it's a stamping press stamping tool. I can always go back in again. Just giving it a good squidge down, even pressure across the actual butterflies, and a perfect stamp. Very happy with that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some sticky notes to make a mask. For this I want to create my scripty writing and texture stamps kind of sitting behind the actual butterflies. So the way I do this is to create a mask for stamping. Really simple to do. Sorry about my head in the way. I'm just using a sticky note for this, but I do normally use masking sheets because they are longer lasting. I can use them several times over and over again, but this is what I had to hand, and guys, if this is what you've got to hand, just use that. But if you can get masking sheet and you do use it regularly, it is very useful tool to have. So I've just inked up my butterfly and I'm sticking it to the top half of the sticky note. So that top part that has the stickiness on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp out both of the butterflies and trim them out. So what I'll do is I'll fast forward so you don't have to watch this bit. Oh, there's Phoebe. Oh, and she's changed the camera. Isn't she good? Isn't she good? Let me flip you back. So Phoebe has decided to join us for a little bit of fussy cutting, bless her. She wants to just be part of it. Isn't she a sweetie? Okay, so now I've moved on and I grabbed my Load and Fold, which is by Rare Earth. This is another one of the stamping platforms that I use. I don't always use this one so much for a couple of reasons. One, it doesn't take red rubber stamps. Also, it doesn't have anything to hold your cardstock in place. So I tend to use a little bit of low tack tape, which is absolutely fine. That's not a problem, and if that works for you, fab. I also sometimes use a product called a Sticky Grid by Sizzix. It's actually for holding dies in place when die cutting, and it is like a double-sided, almost the same tackiness as a sticky note. They're really good. The one I've got here that I'm showing you is a little bit worse for wear, and I was just referring to that. It's pretty good because it's sticky on both sides, so it makes it nice and easy to work with. So I'm just going to place my masks over my butterflies because I don't want any of the rest of the stamping that I'm going to be doing now to get in the way or kind of compromise my butterfly image. So I've got this really nice script stamp. This is from Rare Earth. It's one that I've had in my stash for a long time. As you can see, it is very well used because it is, to be fair, one of my favourite go-to stamps. Oh, Phoebe's just sneezing next to me. See, I can't get far away from her. I'm just going to ink this up with some black ink. And then we'll close the lid, apply pressure like we did with the other stamping tool, and transfer that ink over. So I've got this nice kind of script that will be sitting behind the butterfly, which I really like. I'm scrabbling around for something, not sure at the moment what it was. Oh, so I'm just showing you here. This is the stamp set that came in, which I think it's called Splatters and Hessian. There is on my blog a full rundown of all the items that I've used just in case, but I think I'm looking for that stamp set and I'm not sure what I've done with it, but I always use that one stamp, so it's always in like my bag of goodies. So I have just got out one of Tim Holtz's stamp sets, which is called Ultimate Grunge, which I'm going to use in a moment to do some stamping, but I need to grab my other platform. So first, I think what I'm going to do is grab one of Tony's stamps, which has got the lovely kind of vintage stamp, almost like postage stamps from the United States. It's a really lovely kind of mishmash of not quite like, I don't know, finished, so it's got some like real kind of grunginess to it. I think it's called the retro stamp. I've got to say it's one that I picked up a while back, so it's not something that Tony's got me, it's given me, it's something that I've purchased myself. I just really like it. and it's one that I seem to be getting out more and more for my kind of grungy makes. It just has that right kind of look about it. So I'm just inking up the stamp. I've moved my cardstock over so then it fits into the platform nicely on the other side. I'm just going to apply some pressure, and then that'll be looking awesome. It's such a lovely kind of effect that gives, so I really, really like that. So next we're going to go back into my Stamper Artist stamping tool, because I'm going to use some red rubber stamps just to kind of finish off the other bits that I'd like to kind of create and add texture to this. So I bring that in. Then I'm just going to position my stamp as I did before. This is the beauty of using a stamping tool, it does make things really easy. So the stamp I'm using has got this kind of square, kind of almost like maths paper. Oh no, wrong one, I'm using the numbers. I take that back, I'm using the numbers there, and then next I'm going to use the maths paper. Sorry, there we go. So I'm just going to pop that over the wing of the butterfly, give it a little bit of an ink up, and then that'll look really lovely. So I'm really liking the way that it's looking so far, and it looks even better once we've cut it out. So I really enjoyed making this project, as you can probably guess. So we're going to pop that out and do the reveal. So I'm going to remove the little masks, which I have put with my stamp set in case I want to use again. And look how fabulous these look. So if you like that kind of butterfly with the grungy look behind, this is a really easy way to make that. I'm just having a little slurp of tea. I've got a hole punch, which is I think that one is, oh, it is 2.5 inches. These hole punches are from Stampin' Up. They're ones that I've collected over several years, but I particularly like their style of punch. They pack away nicely, they stack, and they're not that bulky. So what I find here is I actually want to get more of the butterfly. So I'm going to cut out the bottom one first, and then we'll trim a little bit off. So the next one I can actually get my tool into. So I've got a pile of stuff as always around me. I don't know if you're as a messy crafter as I am, but I am exceedingly messy. I always have to have a good tidy up between projects. I'm just going to trim off the edge of that so I can actually get to that butterfly a bit better, because I want the butterfly in the centre. I was in two minds if I wanted just to take part of it, but actually I ended up wanting all of it. So now I've cut them two out. I'm going to keep hold of the piece I've used to cut them out, because it will be useful later on in the project. So now I'm having a look in my book and just open it out so I have the left and right page I can use, because I want to be able to write my ingredients on the left hand side, just so I've got that to refer back to. Sometimes with these books they're a little bit stiff to start working with, so you know, just open them out, open a couple of pages out. I did go to use a bulldog clip, but my bulldog clip was a little bit small and it kind of got in the way a little bit, so I ended up discarding that idea and deciding to take it off and just crack on. So I'm probably at this point, this is where I'm just explaining everything I've just explained. It's nice to be able to go back and have a reference to what I've used. So I'm just now looking at the page going, how do I want to use this? Where am I going to place my items? I start to think, do I want to create it on some white paper first and then stick it in? I soon decide against that, because I do like the white on white, but actually, you know, as the book has got like a more of a yellow tone to it, I decide against it, and actually no, that's fine. I'm going to stamp straight into the book. It's funny how you go through that kind of process of, do I want to do this? Do I want to put it there? I do it all the time. It never quite stays the same. So I'm just going to rub a little bit of black ink around the edges of my circles, because that will make them pop, give them a little bit of a matte layer almost, just to frame them a bit better. That's the beauty of kind of black mattes, is it does frame whatever you're working with. And it gives a nice effect. You'll find a lot of us do that in the card making, grungy, mixed media world. So now I'm taking the stamps that I've already used and I'm going to incorporate those into the background. So now we're going to create that background using what we've used to create our little butterfly circles. I'm going to grab a yellow, this is a stamping marker, so these are by Stampin' Up. They're a water-based marker. They are some of my favourite watercolour markers to use, to be fair. They give lovely coverage. You get real precision with them as well. And I decided, I was like, I wanted to add a colour in, but only one colour. I wanted black and something else. And I find that yellow is really striking when it's partnered with black. So I've gone for a yellow and black look. So I'm just going to colour the wings of the butterfly in, and I don't need to be particularly tidy with this, although I am staying within the lines because these pens are really easy to use. I am yet to find markers like it from another company, so if you do know any, please point me in that direction. I love the Stampin' Up ones, but I can't use them for work. But I can use them for my crafting, which is always nice. So I've done that first butterfly, now I'm going to do the second one. In the same way, nice coverage. You can see that yellow popping already, which really works well. So once I finish that, we're gonna start with that background, which I'm really excited about sharing with you because the finished piece looks awesome. Well, that is my opinion, to be fair, but I think it does look awesome. But what I have done is I've kept with the elements that we've already used, so I'm not bringing in anything new, because you might have something very similar in your own stash, guys. So look at what you've got, look at how you can create it, and you will find you might be able to recreate in a very similar fashion what I've done. So I'm just grabbing a block because I'm going to do some block work. So instead of using my stamping tool, I'm going to use some blocks for this. My blocks are from Stampin' Up. They're just the ones that I've got, but I know like All and Create do a slightly different version of a block where it's thinner plastic and has a bit of flexibility to it, whereas mine are very kind of solid acrylic blocks. But you know, go with whatever works for you or whatever you've got in your crafty stash, because you know, unless you're in the market to buy something, you know, work with what you've got. So I've just brought back in Tony's stamp to start working with. So I'm just going to ink it up in that same black ink. So I've not really chosen lots of inks or colours for this project. I wanted to keep it to my two-tone, or my two colours should I say. And just so sometimes it's easier to move the project around than it is the block. So if you need to, work the project around you, not the other way around, because sometimes it can be a bit tricky. I've got a little bit of ink on part of my block, so I'm just removing that because I don't want that to transfer onto my project. What I'm going to do is just rotate the image round slightly, so I get a little bit of a different aspect on it, because part of this is going to be covered, part of it is going to be showing. So I want some of it kind of as a different aspect when you look at it. So now I'm going to swap over and I'm going to use that gridded like math block. I'm going to call it the maths block. And once again, just going to ink it up and take it straight to the project. You might not be confident yourself in stamping with blocks, but I think it's good to try and get confident with it. But if you're not, there are the stamping tools out there like I've already used today, because sometimes it is, you know, it's easier and it can be more precise if you've got to go back in, because I could never double stamp the same. It just won't ever happen, won't ever work. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking my butterflies, and I decided that I want them, but I don't want them at full ink strength. So I'm going to do something called a second generation stamping. So you can do this several times. So I've taken that first layer off, so then I've got that second layer, which is faint, isn't so pronounced. I'm going to go grab a bit of paper just to make sure that I get a good amount of it off, because I just done it on that scrap bit, and actually I could do with a slightly bigger sheet just to stamp off onto. And then I'm going to take that, so then I've got that lighter, so it's not so pronounced, it's not so kind of in the forefront of the design, it is slightly behind. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some ink in that same yellow, which is Pineapple Punch by Stampin' Up. I've got the matching ink too, so I'm going to just clean off my brush, because whatever I used it last for, it was on, and I'm going to grab that Pineapple Punch ink to work with. I do like Stampin' Up ink pads. As I've mentioned before, I am an ex-demonstrator for them. Their inks are really lovely. The ink pad is a really good size for myself. Also, it can double up as a little watercolour palette. So what you do is, I'm going to show you in just a second, but I'm going to open it and then I'm going to go, oh yeah, I need to squidge it. So that bit in the middle, you can see where I've squidged it once before. I'm going to give it a squidge just to transfer some of that ink over. The older ink pads by Stampin' Up are much easier to do that with than the newer version, but it does make a nice area to kind of work with, and you'll see a lot of demonstrators doing that. So I'm just going to take that yellow and I'm going to give it a bit of a wash, a little bit of a swoosh across the work, not completely, just in spots. I'm just taking spots of the design, and I'm taking that colour to it, and I'm taking it as a strong colour, or I'm taking it down. It's a little slightly watercolour, it's like watery kind of look to it. So I'm just re-inking my little palette. If you've got re-inker bottles, they are perfect for doing stuff like this. So if you've got Rare Earth re-inkers or Tim Holtz or Stampin' Up ones for your watercolouring, they're fabulous. Equally, you can squidge it out onto a glass mat, which I do quite frequently. I don't so much with the Stampin' Up inks because they're quite a large ink pad, but sometimes I do squidge them onto a small block just to use as my watercolour medium. So now I'm happy with that, and I'm just going to have a little play with my position and see where my butterflies are going to go, and if I'm happy with them. And I look at it and I'm like, see, for me, I'm like, that's a really nice kind of background and layout that I know would work perfectly for my card making, but also would it makes a really lovely mixed media piece. So I'm going to glue my little circles down. My glue is a mixture of glue at the moment, because I really like the little pot that it's in, but it's got a mixture of glues. And I'm just going to give it a good coverage because I want it to stay in my book and not move at all. For doing book projects like this, I personally wouldn't use tape pens. I might use red liner tape occasionally, but actually for projects like this I prefer to use glue. Leave the pages open and let it dry naturally. I just feel like you'll get a bit more longevity out of it, whereas I know occasionally with tape pens you don't always get the longevity out of the stickiness, but that's just personal preference. Obviously guys, use what you've got in your stash or what you like to use. So I'm just giving it a good press all the way around, putting my lid back on my glue because it will dry out. Always happens to me, even when I'm at home. When I'm at work I forget about it, and that's that. So we're looking pretty good and close to finishing this project now, which is nice. But first of all, I want to add some more kind of circles to the project. So I'm just grabbing one of my fine liner pens, and where we cut out those circles, I'm placing it onto the project and I'm just drawing around. So I'm going to get that round shape between the two stuck down elements, and then I'm going to add a large circle out to the bottom and one up to the top, so it really kind of draws the project in and makes it more kind of cohesive, because it's got the same shapes going through it, it's got the same patterns, like a continuous theme. And for me this is really, a really nice finish to a project. When we're calling this first page #1, because it is our first of our pages, and then I think we are close to finishing. So what I'm going to do is, once I've flicked off, I'm going to do all my ingredients on the left hand page. So everything I've used, the inks, the stamps, I will pop on there, so ready for me to go back and look at when I want to recreate this project. It's just a really kind of useful tool, in my opinion, to be able to recreate some of my favourite projects. I hope you guys get on board and give it a go yourself, because it could be really good fun. You don't have to use a journal like I've used. You can use anything that works for you. Transfer. Hello, I'm back. So what I hope you get on board and try it yourself, because I think like this can be a really useful tool, because you can do your colour swatches for maybe your distress inks, or punches if you have particular punches and you want to do punch art. I mean, like, there are loads of like different opportunities, we call them. But next time when I'm doing #2, what I'll do is I will show you the page that I've written everything on, because you don't want to see me just writing stuff, and I probably will spell stuff wrong unless I sit down and concentrate. So I will catch you all soon. Keep it crafty, guys, and you can find me at www.craftykelly.co.uk. There will be a blog post with all of the items I've used today. Get in touch, get involved. You can follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, and I'm even on Twitter. Yeah, what's that all about? Anyway, thanks very much, because I'm waffling now. I'll speak to you all soon. Take care now. Bye.